So really raising it's not gonna affect too much.
No,
No, it doesn't sound like it'll.
Yeah, it's not gonna do anything.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
So, I mean, we by all means still can do it, it's just not going to impact any revenue generation. Board of Zoning Appeals, those happen periodically,
Can we finish that discussion? Do you wanna raise it to 75 or 100, or what's the?
Well, I would entertain a motion,
well, let's not do them all by separate motion, do you think that's gonna be?
No, but maybe just,
We can keep a running tally.
running tally of where we stand.
Okay,
Straw
so-
poll, you know, do folks want to have that be 75 or 100?
I would
Sorry,
say
it's-
100, yeah. Well, it shouldn't matter, because if it doesn't generate anything, but if someone does do it, okay, we get a little extra money.
Well, it's, like I said, the other special event permit is $100 deposit, it's not out of line to have this
Whatever
mirror
should
that.
do 100.
I would say 100. And if I could bring up one more thing, I would like if we do talk individual lines, because I'm not gonna remember all this, there's 21 pages of fees and stuff.
Right.
I'm not gonna remember at the end of what we're
Sure.
talking about, so,
I
It's the dragon.
consensus on that going up to 100.
yeah.
I'm making a note and we'll go back and cover the.
Okay,
the
if you wanna do it
adjustments.
that way, but I won't remember anything after 21 pages.
Yeah, what we could do is make a discussion and then we'll highlight or whatever, and then towards the end, we'll bring everything up into like one motion
Okay.
to approve.
Okay, so consensus on $100 from everybody?
Yes.
Okay, so the Board of Zoning Appeals, we get 3-4 of these a year, maybe. Because it's a board, staff time is not substantial, although we could probably justify increasing that slightly to cover staff time costs. That also depends on what issue is being appealed. So I would say if you do anything with this, it shouldn't be substantial. I don't know that I would say going to 500 is justifiable because most issues don't require that much time for staff. However,
What's the cost of a class 2 publication
it depends, it's by word.
on average?
So I would say type 2 publications, probably for one of those, maybe about $75 a piece, each insertion. Yep. That's why I say there's justification there to, say, staff time 3-4 hours, probably justifiable plus the publication costs. But again, we get a few hundred of them in a decade, so.
Well, I guess my feeling is we should probably take these individually, because if we wait till the end, someone might want an increase in one, but not the other, so how do they vote? If we're gonna lump everything together as yay or nay, it's all or nothing.
That's why we're trying to come to the consensus before making the note of how everybody feels about it.
I would just say, for me as a layperson, picking out numbers, it seems completely arbitrary. I need to know when they were last adjusted, how much they should be going up every year with inflation. Like, it just seems completely arbitrary to say, oh, raise this by 50, but
I understand.
no basis whatsoever. So I wouldn't change a single thing until there's comps, or until we know when it was last adjusted.
Well, keep this in consideration because of the time constraints. This fee schedule, whatever happens tonight, needs to be approved and recommended to the city council. That way the common council can make their decision to approve. If this all ties into the 2026 budget,
It ties into calculating the property taxes as well.
Yes.
and there will be a budget amendment sometime in January or February, and we need these fees implemented for that budget. So kind of keep that consideration also.
So like I said, even with Board of Zoning Appeals, we have not even a handful of them a year. It's feasible to adjust this if you're interested. However, it's again, not a substantial revenue generator. I would say you're looking at probably less than $2,000 a year, even if you would increase it by $200, you go to $500. And that's best case scenario.
That's like the application fee that the property owner would have to,
Correct.
pay in order to appeal something?
For example, fence height
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
something along those lines,
Mhm.
that's what can be appealed.
I think 5 would be a bit excessive if we're covering our costs for publications on average.
I agree.
then, I sort of agreed to just pick out an arbitrary number. I mean, JJ, you said you had worked up some increases a while back that I recall. Were these part of them?
Not this, not the Board of Appeals, it was really just a few of them that I thought we were spending more staff time on.
Plan commission
It
rated?
was planning commission, conditional use permits, there's those, but, like I said, happy to do these when we can really get the background you're talking about. It'd probably be a few meetings throughout the year to do it right, bring them in pieces, not all at once.
Right, even just a historical data would be really helpful, because if something's been $50 for 10 years, probably time to go up a little bit, you know?
The other question, how much are we trying to generate?
About $1 million.
Okay, that's what I wanna know, cause you're talking pennies right now,
Yes.
basically.
Correct.
So, these discussions about this point, it's arbitrary, cause we're not getting it, and we need to go to the meat of the situation. If we need $1 million deficit.
So, if there's any other comments, concerns, I know you said 500 you think is too high, I don't disagree with that at all. I would say 400 is probably justifiable if you were looking to do something, because the publication fees themselves are about $150, and those never go down, they only go up, so.
Yeah, so we can make that adjustment to 400 if everybody has consensus on it.
I would tend to agree with Mr. Farney. We should have some starting point, some reference point, instead of just throwing stuff at the wall. I think, we should probably address the elephant in the room and the reason why most people are here tonight, move right to that, and we can always come back to this after the first of the year. If the one we talked about that we're gonna increase, we have no revenue, it's not like we're gonna be losing revenue January, February, March. But those are just my thoughts, Mr. Chairman. Typically, I don't think you'd see this many people here if we were talking about raising the fee for a zoning text amendment. But the other fees that are gonna be discussed are gonna appear on the water bill, and everybody will be seeing an increase of some sort if they're approved. But that would be my suggestion.
It's up to the chair, we can continue line items this way,
Well,
or,
I want a basic review
Okay.
of everything, and there's certain sections that we need to have discussion on for possible adjustments. So let's continue, and,
okay.
so that's what we'll do.
The next section is building and structures, permits, inspections, reviews, and service fees. Under permit fees, so there was a requested increase of $5 per fee for residential and $5 per fee for commercial, from 60 to 65 and 75 to 80. Those are still pending, obviously, because this is back at the body. So it's up to you guys if you would determine that you would like to see other increases there. These were recommended by that department. So they're supposed to look at the comps, look at what the costs are that we're incurring to do those things, and send recommendations forward, and they did.
Yeah, if they're recommended by the department, I don't think that we should,
No, I
dispute their suggested fee.
Okay,
Yeah, if the experts who are
Yeah.
working with these numbers suggest that's a reasonable number, then who am I to?
Yeah, they're the powers, I mean, they know more than we do.
okay. Any other comments or questions on that portion? We can go to the buildings and structures. There's a requested implementation of a re-inspection fee, which is somewhere we can capture some revenue. Again, it's gonna be a few $100s a year. We don't have a ton of re-inspections, but it's something that we weren't charging for before. And so the department requested to implement a re-inspection fee. So anybody who has an inspection for building, plumbing, electrical, they don't pass the first time, they now have to pay an additional re-inspection fee for the inspectors to go back out, and that's to cover their time. And $55 is pretty fair for covering their time. And that's what they requested, so if you want anything on that, let me know.
I would say go with department recommendation.
Yeah, absolutely.
On all these, yeah.
Okay.
definitely.
And then there's square footage changes, 10 cents per square foot on each of the rest of these, as well as alterations of $3. Again, they reviewed those, made those recommendations, and brought them forward. Accessory buildings and structures, there was no recommendation to alter these. There's a $200 minimum on residential, slab only is $100. Manufacturing home roof coverings is $40 per structure, and commercials is $250 minimum, or 30 cents per square foot, it's whichever is higher. So those could be looked at if you would like.
Well, these were already reviewed by the department.
Correct. All departments did see this before it went to council
And
with
I'm assuming
Brenda.
that there was no change, they decided that that was a reasonable rate.
We can assume so, yeah. So,
We can continue.
okay. Same with fences, pools, decks. This was reviewed by the department, no recommendations were made to increase those. This was also sent back to the departments in this exact version to highlight anything or make any additional changes that they might feel are necessary, and it didn't come back with any recommendations. So restoration or repair alterations, residential and commercial, $1,000 of square value of construction value, $100 minimum or $150 minimum. They each have their own maximums as well, $500 maximum for residential and $5,000 maximum for commercial. There was no recommendations from the department to make alterations to those. Demolition is interior only, $50 a unit, entire buildings, $2,000 bond, cash deposit, and or other sureties. That's pretty typical, but it's $250 a structure. So those take some review, staff time to review before demo can actually be done. I would say it's probably fair that it covers the majority of the cost, but it wouldn't be out of line to increase it slightly if you'd like.
Well, this is a recommendation from the department.
Yes.
Now, is this true for all 21 pages that all the departments have seen these fees already?
Yes, it's sent to every department prior to
So really
going
what
to
we're
council.
looking at is a review of, other people's review of what should be charged.
Correct.
Mhm.
And that was recommended by the common council to this body to do. Okay, so then we'll move on to commercial. For interior, it's $100 a unit. Entire building is $200 a structure plus 10 cents a square foot for a $2,000 maximum, plus bond requirements or sureties, which is pretty standard. Accessory building structures or pools, and again, this is under demolition, is $50. Commercial parking lot repaving or substantial reconstructions, 10,000 or 250 depending on the square footage. Commercial re-roof or re-siding is $1,000 of the construction value with a $500 maximum. Building conversions, 150, temporary buildings, trailers, 150. Footings, residential's 200, commercial's 250. Mechanical for HVAC units, these are by unit, $55 for residential. Commercial, depending on the BTU size, is 75 and 150, as well as cooling, by the ton for 75 and 150. And then combination units are also 150. Again, all reviewed by the department. So distribution systems, residential, minimum of $55, no maximum, set by square foot. Commercial is a minimum of 100, no maximum, set by square foot. They are the same cost per square foot, again, reviewed by the department, but it's up to the body if you'd like to make any recommendations. Commercial exhaust systems, we get a handful of these. Kitchen hood exhaust systems are $175. Vehicle repair storage exhaust systems are $150. Paint and spray booths are $100, and any other exhaust systems are $150 a unit. So a lot of the plan review here is in teal. These are, a lot of these are done by grade. There may be some small ones, like I said, maybe some small ones in there in between that didn't belong in teal. It's not out of any, it's not unlawful to make any adjustments to these. However, just for your awareness, then the body knows that these are reimbursable through our contractors. So we charge what it is that takes for their time to do these reviews, as well as any in-house staff that would need to do the reviews. So it's not to necessarily generate a ton of revenue, it's to recoup our costs. Department reviewed it, did not make any recommendations to changes.
Do we have any idea if these fees will satisfy the contractor for the entire year of 2026? Or could he submit an increase at mid-year and we would have to come back and do this?
It's possible, but this, by resolution, we can bring these fees back anytime we need to. So if we would have a change to contracts, or we would get a new fee schedule, we can bring it back at a moment's notice. So that makes it very fluid for us to be able to do.
Go with the department recommendation.
Okay. Occupancy permits, for new residential, it's $500 a unit, multifamily is $15 a unit. Occupancy or change of ownership or tenants in manufacturer's home is $35. Temporary occupancy is $100 per building. Home business occupancy is $50. I'd say we have slightly more in occupancy than we do in anything else, but either way still, I can tell you that, just 1 second here. The total of occupancy permits, over the last several years average about $60,000 a year. So there's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow on that one. But it wouldn't be out of line to make an adjustment if the body feels it's necessary. It was reviewed by the department. Business occupancy is all set by square footage, from 150 up to 600. Amending occupancy has a fee to capture costs at $75. There's even a fee of $20 to replace a lost occupancy certificate.
Anyone have questions with this section?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Wrong.
Signs, these are for businesses, there's a $55 permit fee, and then square footage costs, canopies or awnings, maximum 225 per building. Temporary sign fees, sandwich board sign fees are annual, not a huge revenue generator either. We get about $3,000 in sign revenue per year.
Go with department recommendation.
After hours inspections, that is sufficient to cover about an hour and a half of time. So unless it would take longer than that, that fee's sufficient. Special charges for reinspection fees, $100, and then failure to call for inspections, $100. Work started prior to issuance of permits is 3 times the permit fee at a minimum of $300. 3 times permit fee is pretty standard across municipalities for work done without permit.
Any questions? Go with department recommendation.
Okay. Fees for other department activities. The language there is crossed off just to update the language to how it's currently referenced, which is the zoning letter. These don't come up terribly often, JJ covers them. For the amount of time that it takes, it's probably sufficient, at least for the time being, unless you have other thoughts.
I think we're good.
Any questions?
No.
Go with department recommendation.
Okay,
I have a question.
yes,
So the inspection fee that was added at $55 per occurrence is different than the $100 per occurrence reinspection fee that's in this
that's what I
last
was just
section.
looking for here. There it is. It has, I'm assuming that this is for special or additional fees and charges, so I'm thinking that that applies to after hours inspections, however, I can't be 100% certain. This is developed by the department. So what their OCC stands for there, I can't define.
Occupancy.
It could be reinspection fee for occupancy rather than a permit. Thank you. Okay. Plumbing permit fees, there was a recommendation to change the failure to call for inspection from 40 to 55. They added sanitary sewer abandonment fee of $55. No other changes were recommended by the department.
Any questions? Go with department recommendation.
Plumbing inspection fees, this is per item, this is pretty standard. I know that South Milwaukee's about $7 for their individual items, so we're not terribly out of line, but I don't know that we could offer an adjustment on that. I don't think at $11. Permit fees, these are also pretty standard across other municipalities for each fixture. There was no recommendation, other than adding Magic Pack or similars at $20 minimum for each, from the department. So they did go through and review and made one recommendation for a new addition.
Go with department recommendation.
Service conductors, depends on the amps. That's again pretty standard for each service.
Department recommendation.
Power receptacles, again, same, it depends on the amps, for each. And that's-
Same.
Then this is all of the fixtures and things that fall under electrical. That brings us to neighborhood preservation. These are non-compliance fees. We've brought these forward on multiple occasions, for adjustments. They are regularly looked at. However, so that the body is aware, these are in a separate fund. It's called an enterprise fund outside of the city's general fund. So any adjustments to these fees do not do anything for the 2026 budgetary gap. These would go into their own fee.
Do we still have somebody doing that?
Yes, we do.
We do.
Mhm.
Okay.
So residential first offense, was just moved, it wasn't crossed off, it was just cleaned up. So it's $50, continuing subsequent monthly offenses are $20, and these were reviewed, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I believe, and we made some adjustments to those. So those are working out well. Commercial first offense is 75, continuing offense is 300 per month, and then commercial daily fine available is $75. Again, those don't go into the general fund while they are revenue generating, they don't do anything for the current budgetary gap, so it's up to the body if you would like to recommend any increases to those. They were recently reviewed. The department also went through them and did not make any recommendations for changes for the January 26th fee schedule.
Any questions in this area?
Okay.
Go with the recommendation.
Business licenses, arcades and amusement devices. We have 3 or 4 of these per year. We aren't out of line with the other, municipalities that surround us on these. So I did not, this is my department, I did not make any recommendations to alter these, because they're still in line with everyone else,
And what do you mean by everyone else?
the other surrounding municipalities.
Any questions? Go with department recommendation.
Yep.
Okay. Bartender license, the same, because we are annual, a couple of the other surrounding municipalities are biannual, so they charge $50 or $60 for a 2-year license, so we're still in line with those. We charge the background check and, publication fee separately, so. Provisional bartender's license, again in red, that's set by statute. Manager's license, we have a handful of those at best per year. That could be looked at if you would like to, but I would say maybe a couple $100 per year, that might not.
Any questions? Go with department recommendation.
Liquor licenses, it looks, I reformatted this from the council presentation, but just that it's a little easier for the body to read. And it falls in line with how we do it, right? It was, not that we were doing it outside of how it's listed in the fee schedule, it's just clearer for liquor and beer and where the quotation, the marks and things belong. So it makes it easier to reference, also for the public. Everything in red is set by statute, and it's already been at its max. Those have not been reviewed by the legislature, as far as I'm aware, since they've been set. I don't see anything happening with those, so there's not much that we can do there.
Move along.
Other licenses, dance halls, special occasion, dance permits, and entertainer licenses. These are usually attached to liquor license premises. We have a few of them that apply annually for those. It's totally up to the body if you would like to, look at those fees. Because they are in conjunction with other licenses, the amount of time that it takes for staff to review and go through those things is minimal at best.
Any questions?
What department reviews these?
Those come in with the liquor licenses typically, so my office goes through them. Theaters and movies, obviously we don't have a theater, so this, I don't know the last time that this was reviewed. It may be something that we will wanna look at if we have something coming in, but that's something that we haven't spent staff time on reviewing until necessary.
If we do have something coming, probably just one, and that's about it. I can't see 3 theaters being popped up.
Unless we get a small, cute one like the Avalon, who knows?
That'd be nice.
Sexually oriented business establishments, we have one in the city. I'm not aware of any other municipalities that have, that are in close proximity to us that have an ordinance on the books that charges this type of a license fee, so I don't have anything to compare it to. I can tell you it has not been, adjusted. However, the amount of time that it takes to review and issue the license is not substantial. I can say it still covers our costs. the licensing for the employees is the same as a bartender license, and the fee is the same, so I made no recommendations for adjustments.
Good recommendation.
Closeout sales, we've never issued any of these either, I can't say that they're in any close proximity to anybody else, I really have no idea.
Continue.
Peddlers, we just redid this, to capture the cost for the new process that we put into place. So that, there was no recommendation made to alter those, because that is capturing all of our costs on those. Transient merchants, that is already a fee that's substantially higher than the other municipalities, according to a lot of the transient merchants, along with the bond that we require, so I have not made a request to alter that fee. It does drive away a lot of food trucks, peddlers, those kinds of things, so it's up to the body if you wanna look at it, but it is higher than the other surrounding communities.
You know what the, average costs are on this?
They're about 200 to 250 from what I know of, not necessarily on our borders. Some of the other municipalities have lowered them to bring in more food trucks and things, so it depends on how you wanna go. You wanna generate the revenue, or do you wanna have the businesses come in?
And I think we should have a balance. 'Cause
There's a
everybody
decent
else-
amount of time on these for transient merchants when it comes to food trucks, because there's a health component, right? That has to be done. We have a lot of paperwork that we need to collect from them. Those take a decent amount of time. I can't say it's necessarily out of line. I don't know that it's necessary for a bond to be required, but that's in the code, so that would have to be an update to the code before that can be changed.
And we have to come back to rules to change the code.
And that's something we can definitely look at, and we may wanna split out the transient merchant to different type of merchants and expand the fee schedule based off of what type of transient merchant they are. It's something we can look at.
Anybody have a question?
Well, my question is, you take like South Milwaukee, you take Bayview, they got areas, you were talking about food trucks, what do we have there, Cudahy to offer that kind of situation? Right now, I don't see nothing like that offered here in Cudahy. So not only would that have to be changed, but the whole structure of how we present something to someone to get the food trucks there.
Exactly.
You got Drexel Square in Oak Creek, you got South Milwaukee, that they just redid, you got Bayview down there at the lakefront.
So some of those communities have had their, CDA, or their Economic Development Authority, pay for those individuals' licenses for the year if they promise to attend certain
Right.
events. There's a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of things you can do.
We have nothing like that here in Cudahy, so not, just changing that is not gonna help the situation, we gotta change the whole process of what we're gonna do here.
On that one, no.
Yeah.
Well, we can highlight that to recommend future rules to
Yeah.
have the discussion and take possible action on it.
So we can review that later in the year if you would like.
Let's do that.
Okay. Cable communication systems, these don't really exist anymore. Miscellaneous licenses, auto title loans, this is a throwback on the fee schedule because we do have an ordinance prohibiting them in the city, so it's there just in case that ordinance goes away, but we can't have them right now. Bowling alley is $150 plus $20 per lane. It covers the cost that it takes to do the license. We don't get, for the most part, any of these anymore, other than the ones that attach to the liquor licenses, such as the live music, the entertainments, the pet store is, of course, on its own salvage yard. Other than that, we really don't get those until you get to auto dealership. Again, it's enough to cover our costs, even with the publication for the license, because the publication is charged separately.
Why does this just say used auto dealer? We actually have a new auto dealer here in Cudahy too. Why is it just limited to used?
I,
He's never driven
I can't ever explain that, that existed far before my days.
Okay, I just wonder why.
That's gonna be the way it's listed in the municipal code. So we do processing fees for police background check, it's $15 plus, each additional last name. For the most part, that's sufficient to cover staff time, unless you have the one-offs for background checks that take a little bit longer. Liquor license, legal notice, because they're published in a group, for the most part, it's $15. That covers each individual's portion of that group license. An individual publication is $30, that also covers that fee, so no recommendations were made to adjust those this year. Health occupancy tax, so this is for an application permit, $300, renewal or issuance of previously suspended or revoked is $600. Late filing fees for delinquent returns is 300% of the room tax. We have no room tax that's generated at this moment. We did have Sheridan's for a short period of time, other than, the one-off Airbnbs, and those are percentage based. Rooming house permits, those are collected by the health department, there's a handful of those throughout the city. Mobile homes, this is a licensed per space, site, they take care of that every year, it's still not out of whack with anyone else who has one that's close by. So any municipalities that have one, it still fits in with that fee schedule, and it covers the cost that it generates.
Go with the recommendation.
Okay, environmental sanitarian, so pet fancier and tattoo is all done through the health consortium. That is a partnership with South Milwaukee, St. Francis, and Cudahy. Those are, costs that are set by that consortium, so they're highlighted in teal. You could still make adjustments to them, but they can't be less than that, because that is what we reimburse to the consortium.
Go with
Weights of-
recommendation.
Weights and measures are set by statute, so we can't do anything with those. Fire prevention inspections, this is something that we had already planned and did let the body know that when we review ambulance fees, we will also be reviewing the fire inspection fees. This annual billing does not go out until June, so we've got time to make adjustments to this, based off of what the investigation of the department conducts finds before that billing goes out for the year. Again, the annual revenue that generates is about $50,000. So again, it's no pot of gold.
Continue on.
Sprinkler fees, these are by E-Plan, so these are reimbursed to the contractor that does the review on the sprinkler systems, sprinkler and fire systems. Again, you have the ability to make slight adjustments up or down, well, up, not down, however, they cover the costs that we are charged by E-Plan right now.
Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Report fees, these are just copy fees, 25 cents per page, which is pretty standard, and in line with the copy fees that are set by statutes for open records, and that's still, 25 cents a page is pushing it. Those costs aren't as high as they used to be. Fire inspection pictures, $2 per print, DVD or CD is $10 per disc. That can also be a USB at this point, and then transcripts are $12 per page. That's reimbursed that's used to cover the cost of the transcriber that's hired to do that outside. Law enforcement, fingerprinting fees, for residents, photocopying, transcripts, photographs, records to discs. These were all reviewed again by the departments. No recommendations for these were brought forward because they're in line still with current costs. Parking storage fees, these were reviewed. We don't have space to do this, so it's not actually even done or really offered. The chief is here, he did make recommendations to leave those as is based off of that. False alarm fees, $50 per occurrence. If these are not paid, they are rolled to the taxes, along with an additional $100 fee for administrative charge for that.
We happen to know on an average how many false alarms we get?
A total, no, but I can tell you the amount that rolls to the taxes is usually 3 or 4 properties. What actually occurs, it happens in the department, so that I can't
That would
see.
be separately from police and fire, correct?
It's just through the police department. I'm just looking to see if they have a separate line item here for that revenue, they don't, so it can't be substantial. Okay, so parking permits. There was recommendation after the council meeting to look at the parking permits, and, there are quite a few other municipalities that do parking permits the way that we do. A lot of them are nearly double what we charge. We do annually bring in about $180,000 in parking permits. If you would like to make adjustments to the parking permits, you can do so. We have them with change on here because we factor sales tax so that at the counter, it's an even dollar figure, so they don't have to monkey around with change. So the $28.33 with tax becomes 30 even, and they don't have to monkey around with change. It makes it much more efficient for them. So that would be something that if you have a recommendation, we would take forward the information and compile a total that would include the sales tax, so that again, it's still a round dollar figure for them. If anything changes with any sales tax, again, this is a resolution, it can come back to the body at any point in time where we're able to make those adjustments rather quickly.
Is there any possibility those could be indexed to inflation so they automatically get adjusted every single year, and we don't have to review it every year and make up a number?
That's difficult, because there's often conversation of getting rid of it altogether. So you may have support to do that now, and another elected body in the future may not want it to be that way. But covering our costs as well, we don't necessarily change as much with inflation as private sector does. So that's also a bit complicated. Right now, I can tell you, like I said, we've got other communities that are nearly double what we have. So there are some $50, $60 2-month permits out there. It's up to the body if that's what you would wanna do.
So who reviewed these fees?
The police department reviewed these fees.
And the police department knew that were lower than other
Yes,
municipalities, and they still
given the-
decided to not.
Given the requests that have been recently put forth to the department to do away with them altogether, they didn't feel there would be support to be able to recommend those changes. So it kind of comes and goes.
Well, I would like to have a conversation with the various brackets for the permits. Is there a way where we can slim the brackets?
What do you mean?
Say you have a 1 month, then do a 3 month, like quarterly, 6 month, and a year.
I would say probably be best not to go down to a 1 month, just because it takes away a lot of department efficiency if they're doing those constantly. But that's, again, it's up to you guys. The chief can speak to how that would impact their efficiencies, especially if there are changes to staffing levels. Those things need to be taken into consideration when we're increasing counter service.
What's this body, feel, adjusting the brackets a little, and streamline it a little? We can stay with the 2 month, or go 1 month.
But implement them
Wouldn't we
quarterly.
wanna have the police department suggest what would be streamlined instead
Well,
of
I'm just
us
having a
thinking
discussion.
that we know better?
We also been for every section, we're going with the department saying should be done. I think we should stick what's up there. 'Cause the department group-
They know their
They know their stuff,
personnel.
yeah, Yeah, they know what they need to do.
Staffing and.
Yeah, how they gotta do it. So I say we just stick with what we got up there, cause everything else we've been going with whatever department reviewed, recommended.
The
This what,
department's the expert, the so-called expert.
so I would stick with this. There's a reason that's up there, I think.
Well, I understand that,
Yeah.
that's why I wanna have a discussion.
I think it makes sense, but I agree, I would leave it up to the police department to say, hey, we should bundle these two into the same permit or
Would
same.
you like wanna highlight it and send it to the department?
The chief is here if you have any questions.
Chief, what's your thoughts?
So one of the things I looked at to compare at is Greendale, they're pretty comparable to us. For instance, they charge $31 per month. Then they do quarterly at $50, quarterly, $50 and some change. And then a yearly permit, is $148. So that's one of my comparables. You spoke, you hit it right on the head, I've only been doing this 11 months and we wanna do away with permits, we wanna do away with summertime, alternate side parking. This has been back and forth, with discussion on this. But at the end of the day, you guys are looking to make up $1 million, so, we probably should get with the times and in comparison with the other departments and what they're charging. So I think, to me, I think $31, $32 a month seems fair. So then you can just equate that to 2 months and bake it in.
Thank you, chief. So, what would this body like to do?
Chief, can I ask a question? Do you feel comfortable with these numbers?
No, now in experiencing what we've been going through the last few months and knowing what we know and knowing what other departments charge, the numbers there, I think they should be bumped.
Okay.
Well, is it possible to say, have the police department come back to us in a month or 2 months with what they decide instead of just, or do we go with some number that the chief suggested and then tell them to fine tune it for two months down the road?
Well, what you can do also is we can look at this, say some of them are right for, you know, an increase. This has to go to the common council on the 2nd. So if we don't make the adjustment now, you could request that the departments prepare a recommendation in accordance with other communities for December 2nd. You could request that it comes back here in January or February for another review. That's really up to you how you wanna do it. There's world's your
Well, it'd
oyster
be
on
nice
this
to get
one.
an accurate number without, jumping through a lot of hoops.
So, consensus would be to refer back to the department with the recommendation to bring it in line with the other communities.
So a question for the chief.
Go ahead, Butch.
You said $32 a month, even if we multiply times 12, they would get no break, is that?
Well, you could give them obviously that's how we do it right now. If you look, I think there's a discount,
you do
so
get a bit of
it's
a
a lot
break
easier
there.
to sell people 1-year permits versus a 2-month. So yeah, you'd have to use a similar tiered system like that.
So 2 months might go up to 60, possibly, if you said 31, 32?
Whatever you guys decide, I mean, that was just an example, but yeah.
Greendale was what?
31 and some change.
And Shorewood's $50 for 2 months.
What about, St. Francis, South Milwaukee, Oak Creek?
South Milwaukee only does winter parking. And I don't recall off the top of my head actually what their costs are. 30? And it's only winter nighttime. Ours are all year. So,
St. Francis is less. It's like yearly for $75, monthly $12, 7-day $6.
I think we gotta stay in line with what's around us and not Shorewood. So I would vote just to keep it as is for now.
I would keep it as is, and like you said, send it back to the department, and have them and may modify of what we'll be looking at in the future.
Okay, so we go with the recommendation as is with the department to review, make adjustments to come back to rules in January, February.
I would second that.
So we're gonna make actual motion?
No, I'll make notes, and then we'll
I
go
just-
through everything.
Okay,
I agree with you.
Also, I would think some of the agencies that charge less per month, they may have where they don't enforce in the summertime permits. I'm just a thought. That's something obviously I could dive in deeper to.
Like South Milwaukee, they're on from December first to
Right.
March 31st. My son lives in there. You only have to buy one sticker, but they do have alternate street parking every day then too. You're gonna have to.
In the winter,
In the winter, so,
but summer it's,
right.
Right, so their actual hours of enforcement cost them less, and so
Yeah.
they charge less, yeah. Okay,
we move on?
municipal parking lot permit stickers, so this is for the library square area. Calendar year is $600, and this was implemented just a short period of time ago, so this is still considered to be fairly recent. So it was not listed for, any adjustments. The listing of public sale of vehicles, we don't list vehicles for sale, we don't have any lots that we allow anybody to post their vehicles in where they're listed for sale, so that was redacted. Urban forestry, this is one of the proposed new fees. This does not go into the general fund, so it has nothing to do with the budgetary gap necessarily, not directly. One unit is $3.25 per month, so residential, properties assigned 1 unit, commercial assigned 2.75, public is assigned 3 units, multifamily is 3.25 units, and industrial is 4 units, and this is a per month charge, so $3.25 per month for a residential household, and that's the majority of our properties. And this would cover all of the costs for, all of the city's trees, plantings, et cetera, that we incur annually.
Any questions?
How are those costs covered before?
General fund.
And that can't be done now? Can't be done again?
With an increase to the tax levy of $23,000 citywide, no. No, they can't, we can't continue to absorb those costs that way, unfortunately.
Butch?
What is, the expected revenue to be generated?
Just give me 1 second. $275,000 annually.
And what was the unit multiplier times, that was used times 3.25 to achieve that number?
Should you know, we'll have that for you.
the unit, the fee sets of the 3.5.
Number of units, I guess, is,
Be single family.
It's single family's the one.
right.
So then, built off that, trying to make it equitable across our classifications of commercial, industrial, based on basically the impact and the benefit received.
Okay, so if I divide 3.25 into 275, that'll give me the number of units?
No, it's not based on the per units, it's a multifamily classification. So a multifamily could have a 6 unit, could have an 8 unit, it's just gonna be the 3.25 for anything
Classification's
classified
listed
as a
on the water
multifamily,
bill.
because we already got that.
Right, but I mean, those numbers that you have up there, an industrial would count as 4 units.
Yes, yep.
Right.
Yep.
So if I divide the base rate 3.25 into the total amount generated, that'll give me the number of units that were factored into the equation. Yes?
Citywide, yes. Yeah, you're saying take the 275,000 divided by 325. That'll give you the total number of units, it's just not gonna break it out by how
It
many
won't be
residential.
single family,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it'll be based on your formula.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Sorry, does that get assessed then with property taxes? How does it get?
This one would be collected on what's called water bill.
Oh,
Similar to how stormwater went on there, I don't know how many years
Hydrant
ago,
fees,
hydrant
yeah.
fees, different things like that.
All right, nuisance abatements for refuse, grass, weed, sidewalks, snow. Those have all been adjusted regularly to cover costs. They were recently done, this past summer as well for the number of abatements. So as you can see, it's first, second, third for different classifications, whether it's residential or commercial, for each one of the abatement categories. These again are developed to recover our costs. There is also an administrative cost that gets added to each one of the invoices that go out for these outside of the, $200, $350, or $500 fee. Is there any questions on those?
And now, say after the third abatement and so on and so on, it would be that $500 for
Correct.
residential and 600 for commercial.
Correct. Well, operation permit, we have $500, we don't have any of them that I'm aware of. All right, solid waste, this is the garbage cart fee. Proposed increase is $20 annually. This goes on the taxes, so it's $20 per cart annually. The increase is to cover the, it was 4.5 or 5% increase to the GFL contract, and that's annual for the next 5 years. We don't have any options with that. And then any other continued costs for staff time for, operating the dump.
Any questions?
Did you say the increase annually is 4.5%?
It's either 4.5 or 5% per year for the GFL contract, yes.
And what was the base contract number?
I don't know.
What is the amount expected to be generated from this $20 charge?
Pull that up for you. Alright, so annually, the garbage fees collected are estimated to be about $1.185 million. Costs for the contractor alone are $902,000. Total expenses are estimated to be $1.163. That would leave about $26,000 for cart replacements, potentially. So it covers its cost, given we keep that number of carts annually. So we have to build in a little buffer for that.
So once again, the $20 increase will generate how many dollars?
Just the increase
Just the increase?
or the total 175?
What's the total 175?
The total 175 is what the proposed fee is to be. Are you asking what the additional $20 will generate?
The fee was $155, I believe.
Correct.
Yeah, the fee is gonna get bumped up to $20 to 175. I got that. So that $20 charge, what additional revenue will that $20 charge generate?
$135,000 estimated, if we maintain the same number of carts.
And you mentioned that, part of that $20 increase is to cover the cost of operating the dump. Is that operating the dump on Tuesday or operating the dump in its entirety?
It's in
Tuesday?
its entirety.
So the dump, the people will be paying for using the dump on their water bill this year.
I'm sorry,
Correct?
no, there's nothing for the dump that's on the water bill,
That fee's on the tax bill.
and it's once a year.
Okay, so you mentioned part of the $20 increase is to cover the dump operation.
Correct.
Okay. So what day, what are we covering with that? If you're saying it's on the tax bill, I'm not understanding.
Well, the entirety cost for garbage was entirely moved to the tax bill last year, so the $20 will incorporate all the additional costs.
To the water bill?
No,
No.
it's just going up to 20 on the, it's proposed to go up to 20 that comes on the property tax bill. It's just an adjustment to the existing fee, exactly the same as it existed this time last year.
Okay, so what does the adjustment cover?
Everything. Additional, day at the dump, additional costs from GFL and any staff increase costs is essentially that 135 total.
So if we eliminate the additional dump day on Tuesday,
We'd have to look at it and see, I don't know that, I mean, we're still gonna have to incorporate GFL and some other things, so I don't know if it's gonna have to go up at some amount.
I was just wondering what that $20 would be reduced by.
That would have to be
We'd
a
have to,
request from the department to figure out what that would be. These fees need to be set for calculating the property taxes by December 2nd at the latest.
Hurry up. Yeah. Any other questions?
I mean, it seems like GFL is forcing an increase based off their 5%, so he needs to go up with the GFL contract, unless we find somebody else who will collect garbage in the city.
They won't quote, we've tried.
They're the only game in town.
Well, John's doesn't have the capacity to do it, so yeah. Mhm. We had no other companies that responded to the RFP.
we'll
That
be
was
reaching
one.
out earlier as this contract nears the end, try and find, but there's less and less options.
Motion to accept.
We'll make note. All right, so the same with the recycling fee. This is increasing again, the same $20. This is a one-time increase. It's not per month. It goes out to the tax bill once a year, so from $130 to $150. Again, this is the GFL contract that it pays from both garbage and recycling. So this is a per card cost increase. The dump also has charges that get put to recycling, so there's staff time related there, and the GFL contract increases, so those are all corollary.
Any questions? Go with, recommendation.
Okay. All right, so on the proposed fee that was not approved, this was the right-of-way fee, this was $50 annually, $4 per month for vehicle registration. This is on
Kelly?
here.
Oh, you missed one.
Can you
Oh, I'm sorry.
backtrack the street light and traffic, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Street light and traffic signal, this was recommended, along with the urban forestry. It has the exact same built metrics for units. It's $9.88 per unit, per month per unit. Residential is 1 unit, commercial is 2.75 units, public is 3 units, multifamily is 3.25 units, and industrials and fames is 4 units. These are the exact same, matrix that were built using JJ's formula on those from the water bills. To give more context on those, the anticipated revenue on the street light and signal fees, from that billing would be about $825,000. The cost just for the We Energies electricity, in the expenses for 2026 is about $600,000. So this does not fully cover the expenses that are completely related to streetlight and signals. The city would still need to, it covers it by $6,000.
And this would go on the water bill or the tax
Same.
bill?
This
Water.
goes on the water bill like the
Yeah.
urban forestry monthly. Correct. So that is not revenue generating. It is just to cover basically the We Energies costs. Some maintenance, I know we have a ton of streetlights and things out, and this does not leave us much room to be able to make improvements to those either with the $6,000 estimated fund balance at the end of the year. I'm sorry?
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to
No,
interrupt.
go ahead.
How do you know, how does the city decide which bill it goes on, I guess? Water bill versus
I'll
tax?
tell you my thoughts on it, and then you can correct anything.
Okay.
Copying what other municipalities have done, which basically tells me it's already been justified, challenged, and upheld. And in our case, the system's already there, we don't have to invest. Some that have done more complex designs and ways to capture it, you spend tens and sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars coming up with your collection system. We already have a system that's got our classifications broken out, commercial, industrial, multifamily, residential. And it's just, quite frankly, it's simpler that way since you already have the mechanism there. A lot of places have changed their water bill to something called a municipal services bill or something along that line, just because this is
There's so many
becoming
other
so
things
common.
on there.
Yeah.
It's a way for us to efficiently capture anything that we may need to.
Any
So-
other questions? Kelly?
Alright. With no other questions, then we'll move on. I was going to say, before I realized that, thank you for catching that, by the way, that I skipped something. So, street sidewalks and right-of-way, the right-of-way fee that was proposed was not approved in the ordinance, but without making any manipulations to the fee schedule that was proposed to the council, I left it as is. So, this ordinance, there is not an ordinance allowing us to charge this fee, so just for clarity, you all understand that you can put that fee in there, but we can't charge anything, so. Alright, right-of-way obstruction permits, road closure permits, those were reviewed by the department.
Why don't we just take it out of there?
That will likely be done by council, so I just didn't wanna manipulate what they had seen without
Okay,
just doing the color coding, that's all I
Okay.
wanted to do.
all right,
So,
but they can strike it
yes,
completely,
absolutely.
okay.
I just didn't wanna give different information
And
between the bodies.
They may or they may not?
It's up to them. We legally can't charge it, so it could sit there,
Oh,
we
okay.
can't charge
All
it,
right,
because there's no ordinance allowing us to do
Well, I
so.
prefer that there's
Not have
nothing
that on
there.
a council aspect.
Yeah,
so.
I know you can't charge it, but I prefer it to be nothing there to begin with. But, okay, go ahead.
Alright, so the right-of-way obstruction permits and road closure permits were recommended by the department for an alteration from 35 to 50 as a minimum, plus the deposit. So those were reviewed. Special event barricades, a minimum of $40. We do factor in, because it does say minimum, exactly what the costs are to the department, and then those get passed along for recommendation to the applicants. Right-of-way excavation permits, those were recommended for adjustment from the department from 150 to 200. All the other fees for this department were reviewed by that department as well, and those were the only recommendations that they made. You are, of course, able to go through them and make adjustments on the other ones if you wish.
Any questions? Go with department recommendation.
Dumpster permits, these are fairly new as well. Few $1,000s a year in revenue on these, we're not out of whack with other communities on them. So the department did not make a recommendation to adjust those at this time.
Okay, continue.
Fill permits, again, no recommendations from the department. I don't know that we've ever actually issued one of these. If we have, there's been just a handful here and there. Department made no recommendations.
Continue.
Again, was another subdivision permit. These are captured now in an ordinance that requires us to charge back developers for expenses that we incur. So it doesn't need to be listed separately in the fee schedule. That's done by ordinance. That's outside of the fee schedule. All right, utilities, these are set by the PSC, so we can't touch any of these. Other than hydrant use, which, again, goes to the 301, doesn't make any impact to the general fund. but the department didn't make any recommendations for any changes on these.
Could we continue?
That's it.
Okay.
I do have a question, and I hate to bring it up this late.
Oh, go ahead.
Is that, we're adjusting the fee monetarily wise. We adjust some of the language, and I'll give you one example. There was an inspector, $200 per inspector. But the state inspector goes out there to re-inspect and takes 5 hours. We say a monetary fee per inspector per time month. So that way because if you spend 5 hours at something at $200, you're only making $40 an hour. Here per hour, especially if it's something major that the inspector gotta do. So can we change the language to it, or we're just doing monetarily change?
I don't see why not.
That's my question.
Because it's meant to cover our costs.
But I'm saying, you see what I'm saying about the inspector?
Mhm.
He spends 5 hours on a job versus he should only be spending an hour, we're losing money in there.
That would be something I'd say maybe we recommend it back to the department to say, is this something that we
Okay.
need to review?
Okay.
Because that way we can also review the statutes and neighboring municipalities, see what they're doing for that, and have more information.
Because right now, it seems like we're just adjusting monetary values, and I didn't know if we were to adjust the language of how we get the monetary value.
So if you look at those, a lot of them are per square foot kind of fees. And so, that captures that, if you've got a really big building, it's gonna take a lot more time, but then we are charging a lot more.
Right up there.
because they're per square
After
foot.
hours inspection, $200 per inspector, but if he spends another 5 hours after hours, we're still paying him per hour, but he's not recouping that right there.
Yeah,
So if you
there
change
may
that
be
per hour-
individual ones like that, we could look at that.
And that's why I wanted to
And the
change
goal is to
language.
capture our costs,
Right.
so, that might do it better.
Yeah, so can we change the language too?
I'll make a recommendation to the department to review those ones, and bring them back.
I saw a couple more in there, I just.
For ones that we have a lot of data on, because we're doing it quite often, you try to set the fee at an amount that's capturing the average,
Okay.
right? But some of these we may not do very often.
I just wonder about that.
And so then maybe we do need to do that. Or could.
Right. Cause you take a car from, working a mechanic, tell him tonight, just he has oil change $95, but you gotta put more in time there because something's going wrong, he will charge you more for it too. So are we looking at that here?
We
Can we
wanna
balance
talk
it out?
through, we don't need to get into all this, but that's why we go back to the department, but I would think, I could see that having some challenges too. You could have a contractor or a developer saying, you're just hanging out here, you're done.
Right.
Where, then there's pressure on the inspector to hurry, because he's trying to get to hour number 2,
Right.
where they're just trying to do, that's why the square foot thing's probably built in to protect them from that, because we get the big fee up front, and it takes forever, it's already. But we'll talk to the department.
There could be a limit, it doesn't have to be per hour, it could be per 3 hours, or per some block of time that we're looking at. 'Cause the inspectors just spend 4 hours in some place, he's getting $50.
Yeah, we're losing money on that.
Right, we're losing money, we're not recouping it, we're paying the inspector for 4 hours, and if it's a true legit thing, we're losing money on this one. And there was a couple more, and I didn't write them down, I wish I did, that were structured this way.
We'll ask them to go through and review anything that they could possibly think of like that, and then we can bring back, those earlier in the year.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
If there are no questions, I'll go through everything for the committee that we've made note of so far. Make sure I've captured everything as you intended. So under, page 3, zoning fees, item 5, the permitted temporary uses, special event, there was a consensus to update that to $100. Do I have that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I think the police chief wants to add one more thing.
There was one thing on parking that I wanted to talk about. Looking at the schedule, the way it's tiered, I have a sheet that bakes in the taxes. So when you bake in the tax, it's $30, just 30, 50, 70, 90, 110, 130, that same kind of matrix that you saw in the spreadsheet. I mean, just looking at it, if you bumped it up $20 for each increment, that keeps that $20 differential throughout, just something to think about. That was just a starting number when I was looking at keeping it somewhat even.
Okay. All right, and then under traffic and vehicles for the parking permits, it was referred back to the PD for review, bring back in January, February for review. Other than that, one more quick perusal here. We wanna review transient merchant, look at those and maybe split those out. We can try and bring that back with PD. Fire inspection fees will be coming once that review is done prior to June. That is what I had, so there's only those two items, referring PD, parking it back to the PD, and $100 for that special, events and temporary uses.
And the inspector too.
Correct. Correct. Does that sound accurate to everyone? For all the information we just reviewed?
Yes.
Okay, so if you would like to make a motion, or if anyone would like to make a motion, you can make a motion to include the items just discussed.
Make motion that we include the items that we just discussed.
Is it to approve, including recommendations as discussed?
Is there a second?
What are we doing about the money, the chief's suggestion here?
That's gonna go back to the department.
Is it, I didn't hear that from you.
Correct.
Yeah, the note that I had was
You
to
did?
refer parking back to the PD and come back in January, February.
Right, okay, good, yeah, must have had a senior moment, sorry.
No problem. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
And there's a second.
Okay, roll call, member Witkowski?
Question,
Yes.
are we just voting on what you just described?
This is the fee schedule with those items as noted, so it would alter that temporary, permitted use and special event to 100, refer parking to the police department, and inspection department to review their items, as well as transient merchant, and then it would be referred to the common council. So common council has final say, this is just a recommending body to the common council.
Okay, so this includes the urban forestry fee,
Correct,
traffic
Yeah.
and streetlight fee, and the $20 increase in the garbage cart fee.
yes, as drafted, other than that one alteration to the $100.
I guess what I wanna say is I don't think a real good faith effort was put into the actual budget itself. And these fees were moved into very hastily. It was an easy way out to come up with a working budget. And I think based on what happened last Tuesday, I would have liked to have seen a rework of the budget before we discussed any of these fees to make sure that we were truly a bare bones. I don't believe we are bare bones. There's excessive wage increases in that budget. There are new positions in that budget, new contracts in that position. There were no efforts to bid the contracts out, the existing yearly contracts. And I guess I would urge everyone on this committee to think about those things before they cast their vote to recommend this to the common council. I would urge you to send a message to the council to go back on behalf of all of the citizens in this community. Because I think what's being done is unfair. There's been talk that these fees can be rolled back, but once these fees are on the water bill, you can bet they're not gonna come off. So, that's all I have to say.
So the
Okay.
Item, we have a motion and a second, and the item is simply to refer the fee schedule as drafted to the common council. So roll call, member Witkowski,
No.
member Tomzak,
Yes.
member Farney,
Yes.
alderperson Haynes,
Yes.
alderperson LaFerski,
No,
motion carries 3-2.
Okay, public comment. Any,
Agenda items only, each individual will have 3 minutes. State your name and address clearly for the record.
Thomas, 3735 Pulaski.
Thomas, first and last name.
Martin. It was noted at the beginning of this meeting that this meeting was publicly announced. As of the beginning of this meeting, it's not on the city Facebook, official Facebook page or city website. Via what means and when was the city announced to the public?
This is public comment, so we can hear you. There's no discourse.
Thomas Schmidt, 3954 East Birchwood. When you go back to the fees for inspection on the decks, what's the cost for an inspection on a deck?
Why can't they answer me?
This is your time to comment. This is for us to listen to
Can
you.
you put it up, what the cost is for a deck?
Why don't we do that after?
No, I'm not
Let's
sticking
take your
around till
comment.
midnight. Well, did I read $45? There's 5 inspections on a deck.
any other comments?
Use your head.
Michelle St. Rebelco, represent the 5th District of the City of Cudahy. Thanks for serving on this committee. I've chaired this committee for 11 years. And this fee schedule, of course, has come back numerous times. And I guess what I was anticipating when we did redirect this to come back to this committee, that in turn, I'm not really sure if I heard that, because of course the council did deny and remove the wheel tax from the ordinance, knowing of course by doing that, we would not be able to charge a fee and have it impact positively on balancing the budget, that the fees would be relooked at by department heads to see if there was any opportunity to again assist and make a recommendation to this committee to assist you in your process, to be a committee, as you are, to recommend to the common council any adjustments to fees. And I guess I'm a little disappointed that that didn't occur, or there just wasn't any changes, except for our discussion about possibly the parking fees for our stickers. But yes, because there just seems to be, again, I wanted education, because again, our citizens deserve education. Again, if we're making such drastic changes and adding these fees to whatever bill it is placed on, no matter if it's the taxes or the utility bill, and that didn't happen. So again, trying to get transparency and trying to regain the confidence of our citizens, because it's all about them, our work we do. So, thank you though for taking the time, and I agree with the points that you do need to have further knowledge brought forward and back up, so you can make good decisions on this fee schedule, because it is quite large. But continue to take the document home and evaluate it. And like I said, if you have Scrivener notes, meaning like if you want to change how things are interpreted, like said, and bring it back to Kelly so you can get it back on your agenda in the future for sure, because you can do that as a committee member. And you can even recommend agenda items to the chair. If you see something that needs to be talked about, that you guys, what you know what's going on in the city regarding ordinances and so on and so forth. So, thanks for being active members of committee and for what you're doing tonight. But.
Any further public comment?
Yep, Skip Changes, 2636 East Eaton Lane. First of all, I don't know why you had to rearrange your agenda. All the other agendas that I looked at for the last 3 years, the public had the right to speak their opinions and comments before you guys went through all this. Well, I will say it was interesting for me because it's the first time I've been here. But I don't know what the issue was that you had to change your agenda for tonight. It leaves me very suspicious when I see city government changing agendas. For what purpose? Because from what I've seen here, there was no purpose, other than to have us all sit here to wait till the end. And again, I find it almost a clown show in the sense that we have no representation voice on this board or the council. The gentleman asked a question on the budget. How does that interfere with your meeting agenda on open meetings? I haven't found anything yet. And I've called the Department of Justice in the state of Wisconsin, asking them for a clarification on this. Because again, I'm gonna tell you, I heard an opinion, I haven't heard an ordinance, a statute, or anything else that says you cannot make a comment back to us if it's on this agenda. Matter of fact, it's actually in your minutes today. It says in there, there could be discourse, and it could be limited, and you choose, I'm talking about the representative of the city, you guys choose not to converse with us when it comes to our questions and our concerns.
Thank you for your comment. Any further public comment?
Ken Jankowski, 6111 South New York, I'm the mayor. I'm just gonna say I disagree with the 4th District's comment. A lot was looked at. The increases.
Yeah, or,
Get time on it. The increases, wage increases, that was in lieu of the anticipated health insurance cost rates that were going up significantly. We're talking up, 40 to 80%. We cannot have health insurance costs go up and then not pay our people to offset those costs. We put everybody in the poorhouse. That all changed. We were quoted quite less, so as of right now, unless we find some money, so nobody's getting anything, other than the unions, which everyone knows those are negotiated contracts. So the fees and stuff, nobody likes paying any more money, I get it, but just know that services will be impacted. I'm a big public safety guy, and we gotta do something, or your public safety and your DPW will be impacted. We can't maintain this stuff anymore, we just can't. I mean, I sat down with them for hours and days. Don't shake your head.
I can shake my head if I like.
So, I mean, you've seen it's all out there. I don't know what else we're supposed to do, so.
Look at the retiree health insurance.
Oh, should we talk about yours?
Sure, let's
Okay.
talk about yours, let's talk about everybody's.
Cause you wrote on
It's
this,
not on
you
the
wrote on the
agenda.
city for 10 years.
Point of order, point of
Not on the
order.
agenda.
What?
Karen.
I have a question. The GFL contract, weren't we in a contract? Didn't we have a 5-year contract? Weren't we in the middle of a contract? If I'm not mistaken, I thought that was discussed at the last council meeting, that we were in a contract with GFL, but now you're saying that they're raising their,
Can you please state your address?
you do, what, I'm sorry?
Please state your name
Oh,
and address.
5804 Delaware. I mean, I know you didn't want to answer me, but that's my question. I thought we were in a contract with GFL, but now, why are we all of a sudden paying more? Don't we wait till we end the contract and then we negotiate then, not in the middle of the contract? Doesn't make sense.
That's how you did it at Ledge.
Any further public comment?
Robert Goss, 3745 Henry Avenue. Yes, you're right. They signed in September of last year a contract for, I believe it was $800,000 a year for 5 years with GFL. 5-year contract. Not sure of the exact number offhand. Currently, with this fee schedule, let's say that I'm paying $5,000 a year. I'm paying for those services right now. I would like a breakdown of what I'm paying for the light bill, what I'm paying for the urban bill, what I'm paying for the garbage cart bill, or whatever on that tax bill itself, right? I wanna know what that cost is versus what you're charging on top of that, which with your fee schedules comes out to I don't know, $2.285 million. Are you really short $2.285 million? I don't think so. Yes, our services will be impacted, Mr. Mayor. I make a recommendation that we decrease our workforce by 10% throughout the city, and we will be impacted. Each department should go back to the board and show, that with your marching orders, that they come back with a 10% reduction in staff and, further go into having the remaining staff, pay, a higher monthly premium on their, insurance bill. And, I've been told that if we would lose staff, if they, basically, these, benefits were reduced in some way. So a recommendation would be to, send this back to council. I'm not happy that you guys voted for this. It should have been tabled, okay? You're sending it back to council, and I have seen nothing that this city administration has done. It's failed the citizens of the city. I've seen no reductions in anything come down from the administration at all. And this is a pathetic shame that you're perpetrating on the people, okay? I mean, this is gonna add another $500 a year to my costs. Don't say my taxes, but they are taxes, you can call them taxes, fees, tariffs, whatever you want, okay? You're raising me 10%. So I'm asking for a 10% reduction throughout the city. And it doesn't matter what it costs. If that's what we have to do to tighten our belt to make things go, then you need to do it. This is your job. This is what you're elected for or hired for. Thank you.
Any further public comment?
3450 Layton Avenue. I saw this, I happened to go to the post office and I saw the
Can you
meeting.
please state your name?
Wayne Stengline.
Thank you.
And I saw the meeting posted as an amendment. And I went to the city website and I went to the events calendar, which is what I usually do, and there was no posting of this meeting on the events calendar. So I was wondering if that could be done in the future, you know, because I think it kind of holds us back from understanding when the meeting schedule is. The other thing is too is how do you view this particular agenda prior to coming to the meeting? How do you look at the expenses and the changes prior to coming to the meeting? Do you have to, you know, I mean, do you have to come to City Hall and ask for the, you don't get it? You don't get it?
You don't get it.
Okay. Well, that's another thing. And of course, everybody knows my complaints about the exhaust noise issue in the city and the traffic and the type of money we should be taking in from all of these violations. Equipment violations, speeding violations, exhaust noise, and, you know, we own properties here. And if you rent property and you can't keep people in your property because you have this kind of noise around the city, I mean, that's a whole nother thing. You want us to pay more taxes, but on the end, you know, we will have trouble keeping people in our rental property. I feel sorry for the people on Layton and Packard Avenue, on the outside of that building, you know, with the type of noise we got.
Okay, any further public comment?
Jenny Hunter, 6069 South Delaware Avenue. I'll be honest, I'm relatively new to coming to these meetings. This is my fourth one, probably in the past 4 weeks. But what is disheartening as a citizen is watching our elected officials pass the buck. Either putting the blame on the previous administration or infighting with your alder people. You need to work together to figure this out for your citizens. I don't have quite a big a deficit coming as the gentleman here, but I have $200 to $300 in extra fees coming. I spoke at a previous meeting saying, I don't have any extra more money to give you all. But the infighting needs to stop. You are supposed to be our elected officials. Please act like adults. I'm a teacher. I deal with this at school. I expect it from middle schoolers, not from the people I voted into office.
Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Poplar, 4467 South Lake Drive. Two points. We talk about fees and things. We're only talking about one piece of the property tax bill. Don't forget, this does not count the city. I mean, the school system, MMSD, MATC, and whatever else is on there. So just so everybody's aware, whatever the increase is, it's gonna be more than that. The other one is a question, is that recorder supposed to be on or off?
It's running. The screen just doesn't stay on.
Okay, well, it's black, so I just didn't know.
Any further public comment? Any further public comment? Any further public comment? I'll close public comment at 7:54. Before I go to adjourn, I just want to make a statement. This is a difficult job and decision in regarding the budget, and it wasn't about passing the buck and not taking responsibility, because I think responsibility needs to be shared across the board between elected officials and staff, including previous members. In regards to conflict of elected officials, that does happen in a heated debate among elected officials at all levels of government. Try to keep it to a minimum, but it does happen. But at the end of the day, we all have to come together and do what's best for the city. And it's real easy to table stuff and come back again. But we're in a major time constraint with the fees because it relates to the property taxes, and and there's a deadline for that, and we have to meet that deadline. And also there's other state statutes that we have to comply with. Now, some of the recommendations tonight is to send it back to the department and come back in January and February to this body for further review, discussion, and recommendations to common council. Not trying to pass the buck, and we're just trying to do, how do we solve this deficit with the city budget? Yes, there's some things that can be pulled, and there will be recommendations because there will be a budget amendment for the 2026 budget in January and February. But in order to get that budget amendment from staff, we need to have this fee schedule set so they know what they're working with, and then come forward to a recommendation to the common council. So I just ask for some understanding, and we'll get through this. But whatever that is at the end of the day, this is what we're gonna have to deal with and accept and go forward. And then try to be as proactive as we can for the 2027 budget, so we don't find ourselves in this situation where it feels like we're being rush. That's the last thing I want to see. And also in regards to notification on the city's website on the calendar, it was overlooked. and I hope that does get addressed and fixed in the future. But if you go on the website and go to committee meetings, you'll find the link for this meeting tonight. So with that said, let's continue working forward and let's solve this financial situation for the city to maintain our basic level of service as is right now, being short-staffed in the various departments, police, fire, DPW, city hall. Just to provide the basic level of services that you all expect and demand from the city. And to consider every year, your goods and services go up every year. The biggest driver of city budgets is your wages and your benefits. And the one big driver is health insurance premiums. It's not only in the private sector, but it's in the public sector too. I drive a truck full time. I see it every year when our health insurance gets renewed. You know, it sucks. And we have to continue to pay more out of our pockets for basically the same service that they're at now, just to maintain that level. So, that's the only thing I want to say. So at this time, I'll make your motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
We're adjourned all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We're adjourned at 8:05. Thank you very much.